So this question says, a large cell phone provider reported that in 2010, 60% of its customers use phone only to make calls. That same company has stated that customers using phone only to make calls has gone up. They surveyed 400 customers and found that only 230 of them are using phones mostly to make calls. So number 37 says, specify the null and alternative hypothesis. So the null hypothesis is just going to be the no difference value. So this is going to be the value that people were assuming all along. So in this case, that would be this first sentence, 60% of his customers use phone only to make calls. So that would be P is greater than or equal to 0.60. And then for alternative hypothesis, that is the difference. So this is going to be the new news that they receive. And the new news that they receive here is that the same company has stated that customers using phone only to make calls has gone up. So because it's gone up, P is going to be greater than 0.60. So the answer here is B. Okay, and then number 38 states the standard error of P0 is, so here I put the formula for standard error. So it's the standard deviation over the size of the sample n. So in this case, standard deviation is going to be 0.48. Okay, and then, so we're going to just divide 0.48 over the sample population, which is 400 customers. So just going to do the square root of that. And then this is going to equal out to be a letter C, 0.024. Okay, so the answer here is letter C. Okay, so then number 39 states the value of the test statistic is, so I put the formula here for that, which is X minus mu over the SE, which we got in the previous question. So in this case, the X here is the mean. So the mean is just going to be 230 divided by 400, which in this case would be 0.575. And then we're going to subtract that by this value. So this value would actually be the 0.6 that we had gotten. So 60%, so 0.6. So we're just going to subtract 0.575 minus the 0.6. And then we're going to divide all of that by what we got in the previous question, the SE, standard error. So that would be 0.024. And that would equal out to be negative 1.02. So that would be letter A, the correct answer. And then moving on to 40. So it says the p-value is, so in order to find the p-value, this is going to be the area in the tail to our test statistic. So our test statistic was negative 1.02 as we got in the previous question. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to go to Excel. In here, And then in here, we're going to put in the formula to find the error, which would be norm dot s dot is. And then we would put in our test statistic in the previous question, which was 1.02. And then our cumulative here would be true. And so when we press enter, in Excel will get this value. So the answer to that value would be, in this case, B. So, oops. Right. It would be this letter, sorry. You can just fold it. Okay, so that would be 0.16. So moving on to 41, here it says at this value 0.10 and using the p-value. So here, in order to find whether or not we reject it or we do not reject it, we would have to see that the rule is that we do not reject the null hypothesis if p is greater than this value that was given. So since the p-value, as we saw, was 0.16, so I can just put that here. The p-value was p equals 0.16. So here we can see that it was 0.16 and they gave us this value 0.10. So the rule is that we do not reject it if p is greater than this value that was given. So because p is greater than that, that means we do not reject the null hypothesis. So the correct answer here would be A. And then moving on to the last question, 42, it says, in light of your conclusion from the preceding question, what test error could happen? So in this case, the test error, we have two types. So going back to the previous question, we did not reject the null hypothesis. So because we failed to reject the null hypothesis, when it is false, that means that the error that could happen is the type 2 error. So this all kind of depends on what we got, whether or not we rejected it or we did not. And because we did not reject it, that means that the error that could happen would be the type 2 error.